All right. Welcome, H Radio 123 part-timers to the Summative brief. And once again, just remember that we are entering the last couple of weeks of this semester and this obviously subject. I know that the formatives have been, well, I mean, I marked them, so I know that they have been done. You'll get your feedback and obviously after moderation, get your marks. And please, eyes on the prize is what I'm saying. This is your last and other assignment that's going to count more of a predominant, percentage of your final mark. Again, just apply yourself diligently, and if there are any questions as we move along, I know the attendance is I mean, I know that it's been quite consistently very low, and then if alternatively, if you're working well with the videos, that's fine. It's all good as long as you're just covering the material. Please just reach out as you do on WhatsApp, and then keep in contact, right, with me, so that we can gravitate through these last couple of weeks together, and then yeah, you can move on. All right. H-Radio 123 summative assignment is due 3rd to 7th of June 2024. The approximate average contact hours for this is 8 hours, and then for your own independent work is 30 hours that you're going to have to put in, right? We are currently actually right in the thick of the content that is being covered, the material that's being covered for the this particular brief, this summative right here. And so we're looking at from lessons around about, let's say, 14 and onwards, right? Okay. All right. So it's an individual assignment. Please read the evidence requirements before you commence working on the assignment. Question 150 marks. You have to listen to an hour of a non-music radio show. Excuse me, I'm going to stop doing that because that's obviously become quite distractive. All right, of a non-music radio show, so the station's flagship show. In other words, you're going to listen to a talk radio station. 1.1, you're going to name the station, date, time, and show that you listen to for 1 mark. And then you're going to complete a listening log, right? So so in the lessons that we just covered with, like I say, in about 13, 14, 15, somewhere around there, right? Uh, you'll come across the listening log. As we're looking at tonight we are looking at 17 and 18. Yeah, so round about there, from let's say about 14 to about 16. We just covered the listener log as well. All right. Anyway, so you've got to keep this listener log for the show that you're listening to. Please, obviously, you've got to listen to the full hour. It's got to obviously be real. In other words, you can't make it up, and then you've got to please mark down those particular timestamps as to when and what happened, obviously in accordance to what is being asked here, right? So you can pick a 702, a Power FM, an SAFM. There's quite a few to choose from. You can also maybe tune. No, I'm going to leave it at that because anything further, I think, is going to be confusing, right? Okay, so give the start and end times of each of these elements. Note that these elements can happen multiple times throughout the hour, and make a note of each time. So note that you're going to lose the mark if you don't place all the news segments out there, all the interviews that happen in that hour, all the listener call in segments, and all the spots or advertising breaks. Each one consists of one single mark. Again, if you miss out on one, and obviously I know how many news segments and potentially an interview will happen there. I do also know that there will be a listener like a reaction or interaction with, and there will definitely be spots or advertising breaks, right? So your elements should be please listed there and obviously accurately down to the minute. I don't expect to the second, right? So to the minute, uh, and that'll be fine. 1.3, how many distinct topics were covered within the hour? And do you feel there were too few or too many? Justify your answer. So please, once again, just a little bit of feedback on the formative that you just submitted. There was a lot of. There's only maybe one particular assignment that I recall within our group, right? That was very thorough, very detailed, right? And did a lot of extra work. So put in a lot of information. Obviously, did very, very well. Congratulations to that particular person. Anyway, well done. And the other assignments I found were lacking in a lot of the information. So when I say that, please, I mean like if there's 3 marks here, you've got to give me 3 distinct facts, right? And deep, like I say, detailed contextual facts that are relevant to this particular question here. Don't give me 2 sentences worth or whatever it is that kind of repeat your information in some other way. You're regurgitating in some other way. It's just it really didn't do you well to approach it, and it's going to obviously cause you. I mean, without having to say it, but it's going to cause a lot of problems in your other subjects as well as you move along to second and third year, definitely. Right. So again, how many distinct topics were covered within the hour? Do you feel there were too few or too many? Again, justify your answer. There are one, there's two, and there's 3 things that you have to do there. Right. Okay. So how many? 1.4. Excuse me. How many commercial breaks did you notice within the hour? And briefly describe the content of 2 particularly memorable breaks. So, product, service, advertised, tone, etc. Right? Really break that down. Obviously, give me the timings of those. Well, you've got the timings there. You're going to actually just give me the number of how those. So the 3 or 2 that happened, or 4 maybe. It depends on what show you're listening to. Excuse me. I'm just going to obviously, again, as you know, sip some tea so I can just make sure I don't start coughing. All right. Right. And then again, briefly describe each piece, okay, that you are hearing, or should I say, 2 memorable pieces, full bodied. Explain the advert to me, make me feel like I was there as well. Tell me a little bit. So, what obviously is being advertised? Maybe is it well scripted? Again, the kind of tone that is being is that it has, is it a bit of a narrative, is it a role playing, is it kind of a hard sell, even a soft sell, whatever it may be that you are looking, is it also, is it friendly, is it powerful, is it not empowering, man, that's the same thing. Powerful, is it romantic or sensual, whatever it is, right? Many things, right? Recreate a visual timeline of the hour you listen to using a show clock, right? Your timeline must accurately portray the information from your log. A visual timeline means an actual picture, right? So you gotta do the clock as we have covered it in class, right? So with obviously the circle, it's got to look like a clock. It's got to be obviously, please, you've got to have all the elements that you have listed within the log itself must be represented accurately within this particular picture, this image, this again visual graphic, right? That you are constructing here. Every time you do something wrong, so every time there is something, there's an incorrect representation, maybe positioning or labeling, or the time doesn't make sense, or whatever it is, like you're missing out. Um, and I'm not expecting imaging because it's not expected over here. That's the only thing I'm gonna put to one side. But these different segments must be accurately and obviously clearly indicated within this particular clock. Okay, based on the show's content, where in the product life cycle would you place it? Now, we obviously covered the product life cycle, and it was also in the last assignment as well. So you'd be very familiar with this. You would place, obviously, whether it is in the introductory, the growth, the maturity, or the decline phase, and then you would explain why you believe it to be true. So I would go and revisit like what each one of those phases in the life cycle, right? Uh, um, right, it is, and then go and look at all the obviously the characteristics of that particular phase, right? Okay, and then you would tie that in to your response of the actual, like I say, again, you have to reference the show, right? And don't just give me generic, like broad answers, please. All right. So, considering the show's position in its life cycle, name and then create three different content pieces, either in three different categories or the same category, that the show could have used to help grow its audience in that phase, right? So, in other words, you could use, for example, lifestyle, you can use promo, you can use relationship, you can use heart, whatever it is, depending on again where that particular phase is, right? Or that show is in its particular phase, right? And then you would then go give, right, your own unique ideas for, let's say, a station promo, or again a lifestyle topic, or again, as I said, they're like a piece that's related to heart, right? Okay. All right. And again, please be thorough once again. And also, just as a warning, found this predominantly last year when I started with the radio part timers, the first year part timers, that they were using ChatGPT here, right? And if you are using ChatGPT, like you're going to get zero. Okay. So it's very easy to actually see whether ChatGPT is being used or not. Um, and I don't have to say how or why, but I know exactly what looks like a ChatGPT output. All right. So then I'm going to obviously question you. I either could even call you. We can either call you, whatever it is, and then I'm calling you, and then we get a big problem, right? So please use your own original ideas and construct because you are applying yourself, right? Select one notable interview, discussion, or listener interaction that you observed on and reflect on it by 1.8, describing the intended impact of this element. Was the impact successfully achieved? Why or why not? So many different, again, just break the answer, break the question up, right? And then break your answers, or should I say, supply your answers accordingly, right? So describe the intended impact of the element. So it could be of the interview, right? Again, or the listen interaction, right? And was it a good or was it a bad like form of radio, right? And in terms of, please don't say it was good or bad radio, but you're going to explain to me why it's good or bad radio within the context of what it is that you're using here. And then you're going to say, yeah, why or why not, right? For all those 6 marks. 1.9, assessing how this element contributes to the overarching themes, right? Arching right over to the overarching themes of the show and listener experience. Is it effective, and explain? So assessing how this element contributes to the overall, so that you're going to get the overall, obviously, feel the purpose, the point of that particular show, right? What is its vibe? What is its, like I say, what is, again, I say, the purpose of the show. So what is it? What's its point? Okay. And then obviously the listener experience, you would be able to listen to like how people are obviously interacting, voice notes, whatever it is, and a live callers. It doesn't really matter, right? But you would see whether that relevance, that connection was being made or not, and then explain whether it is effective or not, and just explain why you think it is, where it missed the mark, or where it actually hit a good bullseye there. Let's go to question two, right? 45 marks. 2.1. Consider a scenario where a beloved local sporting figure has announced their retirement. Using this inspiration, craft a 2 minute segment. Okay, 2 minutes, right? So we're looking at like an expose, like a little bit of a special, like a sports special, right? 2 minute segment should be about 16 to 20 sentences, right? That you are going to write out. 16 to 20 sentences. You would have to obviously, please check it. Like when you go and craft this with the hook, the engaging discussion points, so the dress up and the crumbs, a payoff and a blackout, right? Which are going to break it up for me, and then you're gonna obviously place the hook again, like I say, the crumbs, the dress up, the payoff, and the blackout, right? You are going to show again, that you're within the time limit as well, and that also you are applying yourself to like a bit of a news construct as well, because not only are you doing a content piece, but you're doing a news, obviously, like a news core at the core. It's a news piece as well. So a good balance of obviously again so we covered this in lesson 17 and 18, right? Okay, and you'll know exactly how to reference that. All right. So then you're going to write a compelling hook for the following content piece. The hook, remember, is 17 to 14 seconds. So very short, but it must be effective, right? So 14 seconds, we're looking at about maybe, I don't know, let's talk about maybe about 2 to 3 sentences, right? 2 to 3 sentences, anything between, let's say, 1 and 3 sentences. So if it's 7 seconds, it's going to be about, let's say, one sentence. And then if it's, let's say, about 14 seconds, 15 seconds, we'll look at about, let's say, 2 to 3 sentences, right? Okay, so you got to write the interesting hook, something that's going to obviously capture people's attention. Very interesting, obviously original, grab their attention. Don't overthink it too much. 2.2.1, a listener call in where people share their most outrageous festival experiences, right? Okay, so 2.2.2, a competition moment where you win premium seats at a sold out comedy show starring a top comedian. Awesome, like awesome, obviously exercises because not exercise, well, I mean, questions here because you can apply yourself really well and you get some really great answers you can come up with. The latest weather updates, including reports of severe thunderstorms and potential flooding. So applying yourself in different, maybe different categories, yeah, or different sectors of what we're doing on air. An interview with a rising music artist whose debut album just dropped, and then 5.2.5, just down a little bit here, a light-hearted anecdote about a time you completely misunderstood a common phrase or an idiom. All right. So fun stuff, something personal. And again, like I say, we're covering various aspects of what content could possibly look like or does look like on air. Okay. Then what you're going to do is transform the following topic, right, into a relatable, humorous, and captivating story suitable for a top 40 hits radio station. In other words, a contemporary hit radio station, right? Or and radio listener. Obviously, one of the listeners for the station. So, or their listener for the stations. Station. Let me just get the sentencing correctly. So you're doing it for this particular target audience that listens to a top 40 CHR station, right? It's got to be a little bit humorous, got to be light, it's got to be relatable, and obviously, again, it's got to be interesting to captivate, right? So use the link planning sheet on page 130, table 4.1 in the Next Level Radio textbook. Yeah, okay, and that's where that sentence ends. It's for 12 marks, right? So you can actually get a good gauge. There's like I say, a good little structured table there that you can use or you're going to use. And here is the topic, right? Or here is the think piece. So, have you ever accidentally sent a text message to the wrong person, and how did it turn out? What I would like you to do is please blow this up into something a little bit more interesting. All right, you can't just go to that. You've got to lead up to something interesting and add some beef on and again they kind of dress up and with different like meaty angles whatever it is like different added dimensions to what it is that you're trying to tell a story at the end of the day, right? Okay, and then obviously the payoff and the blackout, etc. Once again, you're going to be using this particular table, right, to be planning that particular um this particular call out over here. Then obviously, once again, please your spelling will count, your spelling and your grammar will count, and once again, obviously, your referencing just for these 5 extra technical marks, total 100 marks as well. Once again, just learning outcomes, just knowing obviously writing a compelling radio story, knowing the elements of a radio show, explain how to utilize clocks, and describe and understand what needs to be done in order to prepare for a radio show. Just here in terms of the rubric, nothing. So I'm not going to cover it, right? Okay. I've covered the aspects of understanding how to get the marks, whatever it is, but nothing really confusing. As I said, they're negative marking for that particular clock. Please do obviously keep in mind the rubric. So as you are putting together your assignment, right? You want to be able to hold the rubric next to you and be like, have I got this? Tick, 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 right? Okay. And then all the way right down to question one, question two. And there is the breakdown again, like I said, of that hook, the effective hook, engaging crumbs, and the breakdown there: two, two, three, two, and one. The payoff, the blackout, and the last obligation. That's written correctly. And then obviously just the breakdown of the fours of the marks of four for the hooks. And then again, the story, right? But according to please that table that you have to use, right? So story summary, emotivity, right? Promise, hook, POV, the point of view, right? The payoff, and what else? Okay. All right. So that's the end of this. Again, these things I'm not going to really go through, right? Good luck with the summative. And let's finish off strong. So I'm going to stop that here over there and end the recording. Assume that